It was one of those tense afternoons in Judge Judy's courtroom, the kind where the air itself felt thick with years of resentment, failed love, and unfinished battles. The fluorescent lights hummed quietly over two people who once shared a home, a child, and perhaps even a future, but now stood on opposite sides of the courtroom, each carrying a pile of papers, a stack of photographs, and a mountain of anger. Judge Judy Scheindlin, at 60 years old and sharp as ever, took her seat and adjusted her glasses with the precision of a surgeon. She had seen it all before: broken homes, broken hearts, and broken promises, but every case had its own edge, and this one was no different. Heather Morris and James Whitfield had once been a couple. They had a 12-year-old son together, a child who, like so many others in custody battles, was caught in the middle of a storm not of his making. According to Heather, when she decided to move to a new place, she wanted their son to finish the school year without interruption. Out of what she described as mutual agreement, she allowed the boy to live temporarily with his father. At the time, it seemed like the sensible thing to do. But what starts as cooperation often turns to conflict, and that's exactly what happened. When the school year ended, Heather went to reclaim her son, expecting a simple transition. Instead, she said James refused to hand him over. That refusal sparked a custody case, one that stretched into a 2-day trial before another judge, with lawyers, testimony, and emotions running high. Heather was represented by an attorney, and so was James. The court heard every detail: who said what, who did what, who loved the child more, and who was more fit to care for him. After hearing all the evidence, the judge made his ruling. But as Judge Judy reminded both of them now, that custody case was over. The gavel had fallen once, and in America, as she sternly put it, we get one bite at the apple, not two. Heather had her chance in that courtroom to ask for attorney's fees, but her lawyer never made that motion. The same went for James. He could have asked for compensation for the allegations made against him, but he didn't. Neither of them could reopen that door here. This is not a retrial, Judge Judy said firmly, her tone slicing through the tension like glass. The only thing I'm considering today is the counterclaim for property damage. James straightened up in his seat, clutching a stack of papers and photographs. He claimed that while Heather was living in his house under a protective order, one that barred him from entering the property, she had left the home in terrible condition. Broken fixtures, trashed rooms, damaged plumbing. It was, as he described it, a complete disaster. Judge Judy, always skeptical, leaned forward. You're telling me she lived in the house for over 2 years under a protective order? Yes, ma'am, he replied. The order of protection was placed on me in August of 2012. She didn't leave until July of this year. Over 2 years? Judy raised an eyebrow. Yes, ma'am. It was a 2-year order. Judge Judy nodded slowly, absorbing the information. And the house was in your name? At one point, it was in both of our names, James said carefully. But after things went bad, she signed a quitclaim deed to my finance company. That transferred the property back to me. Interesting, Judy replied. And once the order was lifted, you went back to the house and found the damage? Yes, ma'am, he confirmed. July 23rd. Judge Judy gestured for the evidence. Show me the pictures. James handed over a folder filled with photographs. Piles of trash, broken pipes, stains on the carpet, cracked walls, and what looked like months of neglect. This wasn't how I left the house, he insisted. I took care of that place. Heather, sitting at the plaintiff's table, shook her head. That's not true, Your Honor. He left it like that when he walked out. I just didn't have the money to fix it. Judge Judy looked at her sharply. So what you're saying is he left the house messy, and when it was your turn to leave, you left it messy too? Tit for tat? In essence, yes, ma'am, Heather admitted. Do you have any photographs of the condition of the house when you took it over? Judy asked. No, Your Honor. Judy's eyes narrowed slightly. Do you have receipts for any cleaning or repairs? Heather hesitated. No, ma'am. Judge Judy turned back to James. Do you have receipts for your cleanup? Yes, ma'am. Right here. She flipped through his papers briskly. I see a dumpster rental. Yes, ma'am. It cost $580.58, James said. I also spent a week cleaning the place myself with a friend's wife. I paid her for her help. Minus your time, that's what you're claiming? Judy asked. Yes, ma'am, Heather interjected. Your Honor, that's not fair. There was an order of protection against him. I had to leave the house because of it. Judge Judy turned her attention back to her with that signature look of unblinking authority. Listen to me very carefully, sir. she said, though her gaze was now locked on Heather's companion, who had tried to chime in. Another judge already heard all about this over a 2-day trial. That judge had all the evidence, all the testimony. You had a lawyer. Your lawyer could have asked for anything you wanted. They didn't. That's not my problem. The courtroom fell silent. You could almost hear the buzz of the lights and the faint rustle of Bird's papers near the bench. Finally, Heather tried again. Your Honor, the house was broken into twice while I was gone. Whatever damage he's showing you might not even be my fault. Judge Judy didn't flinch. You just told me you left the house in that condition because he left it that way for you. That's what you said. So what do break-ins have to do with it? Heather sighed. You're right, Your Honor. Judge Judy leaned back in her chair, the decision clear in her mind. I would have been willing to look at your photos if you had proof that he left the house in that condition first. But you don't. You have no evidence. So judgment for the defendant on the counterclaim in the amount of $1,000. That includes the cost of the dumpster and your time cleaning up the mess. That's all. James nodded respectfully. Thank you, Your Honor. Bird, ever the steady voice of order, called out, Parties are excused. You may step out. As they left the courtroom, Heather muttered under her breath, loud enough for the cameras to catch. This is what a wife-beater looks like, ladies and gentlemen. James didn't respond. He just walked past her, his eyes fixed on the door, and Judge Judy, sitting behind her bench, scribbled something on her notepad, the faintest trace of disappointment on her face. It wasn't just about the house, or the money, or even the custody battle. It was about how two people who once shared love, laughter, and a home could end up here, reduced to arguing over dumpsters, photographs and old wounds, the courtroom emptied. But the echo of their lives lingered, a story not just of legal disputes, but of human frailty, pride, and pain. Judge Judy had seen it all before, and she knew she'd see it again. Because for every couple that stands in front of her, the story is the same. Love gone wrong, anger turned to bitterness, and the desperate need to be right one last time. And as always, when the cameras stopped rolling and the lights dimmed, Judge Judy's voice echoed in memory, short, sharp, and final. That's all.